WWE have had plenty of bonkers moments over the years, but as with any good story, it gets even better when you know the context. Like Vince McMahon trying so hard to fart and make Gerald Briscoe sick that well, you know the rest. With that in mind, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, and these are 7 WWE moments that are hilarious when you know the truth. Number 7, Ken Shamrock chases Chris Jericho for real. Back in 1999, Chris Jericho was trying to settle into company life when they programmed him with, let's just call him Angry Ken. And Angry Ken did not piss about. He certainly didn't like the, quote, bullshit chops Jericho dished out during some of their early exchanges. According to the then Y2J, Ken folded him up like a deck chair on a house show for chopping him. Later, during a rather creative steel cage segment on SmackDown, Shamrock was booked to chase Jericho up the ramp and out of the arena after nonsensically bending the steel bars and freeing himself. Jericho wrote in one of his books that he stopped sprinting after making it back through the curtain, but when he looked round, he realised one thing with absolute horror. Shamrock was still running, and he was making a beeline straight for him. Apparently, those chops came with multiple receipts. Jericho had to try and calm Ken down and explain that he wouldn't throw any more knife edges out there. Number 6, the real ECW invasion. WWF fans tuning into the In Your House Mind Games pay-per-view on the 22nd of September 1996 couldn't have failed to spot Paul Heyman, the Sandman, and Tommy Dreamer at ringside. Were those ECW stars defecting to Vinnie Mac's corporate nest? Nah, they were just there to promote ECW's first Super Show the following year. Shame nobody told the locker room that. Bruce Pritchard admitted on his podcast that some guys backstage started getting a bit hot when Heyman, Sandman and Dreamer got involved in an early match between Savio Vega and the then Justin Hawk Bradshaw. Pritchard was out in the stands pretending to shoo off the ECW crew at the time, so he had no idea that people were getting legit pissed behind the curtain. Some even wanted to march out in front of the live crowd and beat up the ECW lot. That'd show them for invading WWF's turf, only they hadn't. Not really. It's so funny to think that the actual wrestlers themselves thought Heyman's invasion was a shoot. Number 5, Mean Gene's avoidable F-bomb. Those immortal words from one Mean Gene Okerlund at SummerSlam 1989 will live on forever. His shocked cursing remains one of the biggest botches on WWE pay-per-views to date, and it may never be topped. The beauty of it is that it was never meant to be seen, of course, because those promos weren't filmed live. Again, Bruce Pritchard explained on his pod that the WWF crew laughed their sodding arses off when a SummerSlam sign fell down behind Okerlund, Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan earlier in the day. Then they moved on quickly and filmed another take for the brief promo. By showtime though, someone ran the wrong reel. Instead of airing the redo as planned, the production team picked up the outtake and showed that live on air to fans watching at home. They had all day to sort this out, but apparently failed to spot that they had the wrong tape loaded up until it was, too late. As I'm told daily here at What Culture, there's something endearing about that level of stupidity. Number 4, Lex Luger's tassels. Let it be known that Curt Hennig didn't stop at one-off ribs. Heading into WrestleMania 9, the WWF put Mr. Perfect together with Lex Luger's new narcissist character on house shows. The theory was that Hennig and Luger would be able to build up some chemistry before the big pay-per-view came around. But Curt, he had other ideas for that live event tour. Lex has admitted in countless shoot interviews that Hennig deliberately pulled one tassel off of his elaborately designed ring gear every single night on the road. That, according to the presentation-obsessed Luger, drove him to the brink of insanity. Big Lex couldn't bear to imagine his expensive gear might look a bit shabby come Mania. It did, at least a little. Look closely at Luger's pre-match pose and you'll see that his trunks look a little threadbare. Curt had been picking off those tassels one by one, and he only did it because he knew Lex would be furious. Better yet, he feigned innocence and apologised every time Luger brought it up. Number 3, Vince McMahon no-sells everything. behold the peaceful face of Vince McMahon from the 1st of November 2010 episode of Monday Night Raw. On that show, McMahon woke up from a coma and traded some lame jokes about politics with Freddie Prinze Jr. before threatening to run for president. However, that string of skits didn't pass without incident. This is actually a story Rhino once told on Talk Is Jericho years ago. Trips told him backstage one day that he had Prinze Jr. and other extras hold smelling salts underneath Vince's nose throughout filming. When asked what the hell that was about later on, Hunter pretended he didn't have a clue that anyone would do that, but pointed out that McMahon wanted the segment to feel real. Amazingly, Vince didn't react to the salts. He was determined to make it look like he was unconscious and on life support. Because, of course, he was. In other words, the boss was ignoring the smelly stimulant for your viewing pleasure. You're welcome. Number 2. Call Al Snow, or Val Venus. Al Snow's feud with the Big Boss Man towards the end of 1999 is regularly cited as one of the worst in WWE history. Fans especially hated the Kennel from Hell disaster at Unforgiven, but ask Val Venus and you'll probably find that he despised something else about the Nightmare rivalry. Before finding out that Boss Man had killed his pet dog and cooked Little Pepper, Al pleaded with anyone who knew anything about the Chihuahua to get in touch. At one point, he even held up missing posters that included a phone number on the bottom. Yeah, that was Val's real home number. Venus didn't know anything about this until he started fielding hundreds of calls back home from concerned wrestling fans. Things got so bad that he had to disconnect his landline and get a new number the next day. As soon as Val had hung up one annoying call, his phone would ring again and again and again. It was never ending. That is some serious ribbing right there. Number 1. Michael Cole's soaking wet initiation. Michael Cole must have wondered what he was doing with his life back in 1997. The one-time war correspondent had traded grim battlegrounds for the wacky world of pro wrestling, but it took some time for the roster to warm up to him. During one of his very first appearances as a backstage interviewer, Owen Hart, who else, seized the opportunity to rib Cole like only he could. Moments before the cameras went live, Hart poured a litre of Coca-Cola all over Michael's suit and trousers. Left with no time to change or really compose himself whatsoever, Cole had to conduct Owen's promo like nothing had happened. Somehow, he managed it, which probably earned him some respect from the crew. But it gets even funnier. After dousing the newbie suit, Owen began referring to Cole as Michael Cola. To his credit, Cole was able to laugh about this shortly afterwards and told WWE's official website later that he's just glad nobody else picked up on that nickname. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comment section below, and subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and you can find me there as well at Adam Wilborn. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from What Culture, and I'll see you soon.